and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So, Thomas Massie, Representative Thomas Massie, he's a Republican. Turns out he's going toe-to-toe with Democrat Senator Chucky Boy Schumer. Now, I've made it clear on this show that I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm going to be voting third party. That's what I am going to do. Simple as that. I will not stop. I believe in that. Now, all of you can vote however which way you want. This is probably going to be the last election cycle I'm going to be voting in because I feel sick. But who knows? Maybe just like somebody else, eventually I'll get my second win and go right back into it. But who knows? Who knows? But Thomas Massie has been consistent. He's been critical of the war in Ukraine and, yes, even the war between Israel and Gaza. So something happened here because Representative Thomas Massie decided to call out Zionism. He decided to call out Zionism, and it triggered Senator Chuck Schumer. So let's go ahead and first pull up this tweet. Let's talk about the tweet that just caused him to be so upset. It's from Representative Thomas Massie. Congress these days, American patriotism, doing that Drake like, no, man, not doing that. No, we don't do that here. Zionism, yeah. There you go. Congress these days, Zionism right there. Oh, but no, American patriotism, no. And it turns out Senator Chuck Schumer, Representative Massie, you're a sitting member of Congress. This is anti-Semitic. No, it's not. Disgusting. No, it's not. Dangerous. What? And exactly the type of thing I was talking about in my Senate address. Take this down. Take this down. Why? Why take it down? Why would he do that? Because now, look at this. White House calls for Representative Thomas Massie's X post, Twitter post, virulent anti-Semitism. Urges House GOP leadership to condemn. Okay. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. And I'm going to use different numbers. Type 5-4. Kit, this is very offensive and it must be taken down. It's horrific. It's evil. Evil, pure evil. Type 6 for no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not anti-Semitic. I wonder how many sixes we're going to get in the chat. I wonder. So let's talk about it. Washington, Representative Thomas Massie sparked bipartisan backlash Tuesday with a tweet about Zionism that the White House called virulent anti-Semitism. Massie's post featured a popular meme format and appeared to imply that Congress was not interested in American patriotism, but was interested in Zionism. Well, he's not wrong. Hey, look. Hey, he might be a Republican, but whatever. He does have a point, and I like people being consistent because, when you have Janet Yellen saying, yes, we got money for war, but no money for our schools, mental health, our infrastructure, helping out small business owners, bailing out the American people. Hey, I'll take what I can get. Consistency in Congress, it's almost non-existent. It's a blip in the radar. So I'll give Thomas Massie a pass here, all right? You don't have to agree with me, but at this point, we're not even grasping at straws anymore. We're grasping at strings. All Americans, including House GOP leadership, should condemn the virulent anti-Semitism from sitting member of Congress, the White House Deputy Communications Director Herbie Zixen said. Okay. No, I actually find this hilarious that he did that. In response to a request for comment, a spokesperson for Massie dismissed the White House criticism while making an unproven claim about President Joe Biden's mental health. What do you mean? Joe Biden is stuttering and stammering all over the place, NBC News. Whatever. The office of Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican in Louisiana, said in a statement that Biden's efforts will be better spent condemning the 100-plus Democrats who refused to support a resolution condemning anti-Semitism today on the House floor. So all these people are upset. They want to silence and suppress Representative Massie, which I have to say, no, he should not be condemned. He should not be silenced. And it takes a lot of courage to do the right thing because, hey, look, 13 Democrats oppose resolution conflating anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. As Israel continued to wage what critics are called a genocidal war on the Gaza Strip, just 13 U.S. House Democrats and one Republican on Tuesday voted against a GOP resolution that conflates anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. House Resolution 894 passed with support from 95 Democrats and 216 Republicans, including its sponsors, Representative Dave Kussoff and Max Miller, who are both Jewish. Almost as many Democrats, 92, voted present. Wow. The resolution, which embraces the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance controversial working definition of anti-Semitism, was widely condemned by progressive and Jewish groups this week ahead of the vote. So let's talk about who they are. Well, we got Representative Massie. We've got Representative Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, Connolly, Garcia, Gridjalova, Jayapal, Lee, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Presley, Representative Ramirez, Representative Tlaib, and Representative Coleman. So, yes, it's the only ones who voted against it. Great. Perfect. Because remember, as I covered in the previous segment about this anti-hate bill that's being proposed in Ireland, in the pit of my stomach, this almost looks like a click, copy, paste version of what's being proposed in Ireland, of what you can and cannot say. Now, I want to pull up this video here. Let's talk about this resolution.
More problematically, the resolution suggests that all anti-Zionism, it states that all anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. That is either intellectually disingenuous or just factually wrong. And it unfairly implicates many of my Orthodox former constituents in Brooklyn, many of whose families rose from the ashes of the Holocaust. While most anti-Semitism is indeed anti-Semitic, the authors, if they were at all familiar with Jewish history and culture, should know about Jewish anti-Zionism that was and is expressly not anti-Semitic. This resolution ignores the fact that even today, certain Orthodox Hasidic Jewish communities, the Satmar in New York and others, as well as adherents of the pre-Jewish state, pre-state Jewish labor movement, have held views that are at odds with the modern Zionist conception. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, quote, the anti-Zionist worldview of the ultra-Orthodox groups, like the Satmar Hasidim, perceives Zionism and the establishment of the State of Israel as an anti-Messianic act. That is to say that these ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Jews believe that only the Messiah can bring about the true Israel. And I assure you, the Satmar Hasidic Jews are certainly not anti-Semitic. I should also note that there are those who try to smear even progressive pro-Israel supporters with the inappropriate label of Israel hater or anti-Zionist. Under this resolution, those who love Israel deeply but criticize some of its policy approaches could be considered anti-Zionist. That could make every Democratic Jewish member of this body, because they all criticize the recent Israeli judicial reform package, de facto anti-Semites. Might that be the author's intention? Again, let me...
I just wanted to say, Zionism and Judaism, two different things, right? I know that's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to get a lot of people upset. But it's true. Two different things altogether. And look, everyone deserves to be criticized. You make a mistake, you get called out for it. Okay. Everyone deserves to be criticized. Governments, politicians. You're telling me now that we're going to combine the two? And so that means if you're anti-Zionist, you're anti-Semitic? No. I know there's a lot of videos going on social media where there's a lot of Jewish Voices for Peace and other Jewish organizations that are calling out the barbaric actions that's happening in Gaza. And what, now they're being labeled as anti-Semitic too? How is that even possible? Maybe they don't like war crimes. Maybe they don't like genocide. Did you ever consider that? Maybe, I don't know, Jewish Voices for Peace want a controversial statement here. Maybe stop people from dying so there can be peace. Maybe there's a lot of all these groups that are protesting on these college campuses and the streets. I don't know. Maybe stop the war. Is that the bridge too far? Apparently to members of Congress and those in power, it is. Just like all the people who are saying, hey, maybe this war in Ukraine should not happen. Maybe we should have peace. Maybe diplomacy should take place before the first round is fired. But no, that's the bridge too far. Peace in our time. I fear we may never see it.
Let me be unequivocally clear. Most anti-Zionism, particularly in this moment, has a real anti-Semitism problem. But we cannot fairly say that one equals the other. As the most senior Jewish member in this House, with perhaps the largest Jewish constituency in this country, I have always and will always support real, meaningful legislation to combat anti-Semitism. This, of course, is deeply personal for me and for so many of my constituents. Indeed, I take a backseat to no one in this body when it comes to fighting against this scourge. In the aftermath of October 7th, we have a moral obligation to act to protect our own Jewish citizens and our critical ally, Israel. I pray that the GOP majority makes today the day that they stop playing these partisan games and commit themselves to doing the real work to protect Jewish lives. There is not a single minute to spare. I reserve the balance of my time.
Well, he wasn't on that vote for no. He wasn't there. He voted present. Great speech, though. Nice speech. Beautiful speech. Wonderful speech. Really plucked at the heartstrings here. I want to pull up this video here from Case Study QB. Okay? It's from CNN. Caitlin Collins, right? Because, look, these bombings that are taking place, 20,000 plus civilians are dead now. They can't come back. Hospitals destroyed. People are dying. Doctors don't have anything to save people's lives at this point. Refugee centers being bombed. Residential areas being bombed. Schools being bombed. Everything's being bombed. And it's all about trying to get these hostages out, right? But former Hamas hostages testify in contentious private meeting with Israel's security cabinet. Former captive. You have no idea where the captives are. We feared not Hamas, but that Israel might kill us. Covered on the show yesterday on how the New York Times released an article saying that the intel services, the intelligence agencies in Israel, were given like a year head start. They knew about a year ago that something was going to go down. Now, before I play this video, I'm pretty sure all of you had your own fair share of fights here and there. But if somebody came up to you in a bar and just said, "Hey, I'm going to punch you in the face," and they're moving and they're signaling it, like you could duck, dodge, dip, dodge, and dodge some more, right? You could even do a little slow man dive. You're just going to sit there and let that punch hit you in the face? No, you're going to dodge it. You're going to block it and punch right back. Year-long heads up, and it's almost like they said nothing. Didn't do anything. Don't worry about it. Why?
CNN has learned that former Hamas hostages had a contentious meeting with Israeli officials today. One of them telling the Israeli security cabinet, quote, "What I see on TV scares me a lot. I see Israeli bombings there, and you have no idea where the captives are. I was in a house surrounded by explosions. We slept in the tunnels, and we feared not Hamas, but that Israel might kill us. And then it would have been Hamas killed you." I'm joined tonight for more on that testimony by someone you have seen multiple times here on this program, prominent Israeli journalist Nadav Ayal. Nadav, great to see you here again tonight. I know that you've been speaking to some of these families, but to hear them say that they expressed fear over the IDF strikes here, that they were worried that is what would be what killed them. Do you think that changes the calculus at all for the cabinet that's listening to them on how they're conducting Israeli military operations in Gaza tonight?
All right. I know for a fact they're not going to change your calculus. I mean, they've already accepted killing 20,000 civilians is okay. You think it's going to stop now? Refugee centers being bombed, hospitals being bombed. I've said this before, but you would think that would stop. Hey, so many people are dead now. Maybe this should stop. I mean, are we going to go past 20,000 now? Are we going to get to 30,000? God forbid, 50,000? 100,000 dead civilians? I wonder.
Well, first of all, the Prime Minister did react to that family member giving that testimony about the bombing being so close, to the extent that she was actually hurt because of the sheer force of the bombing around the house. And he said, the things that you have said have entered not only our hearts, but also our calculations. as to what the IDF or the Israeli Air Force is doing across the Gaza Strip. Basically, those family members, Caitlin, were saying, you need to get our family members out as soon as possible. And what they were describing, including people who were captives themselves and left their husbands behind because Hamas would not release them, is a situation of torture. They said that they were tortured by Hamas, that their spouses were tortured by Hamas, including a person that his entire body was shaved as humiliation by Hamas, a constant beating, malnutrition to the extent of starving, etc.
I mean, it's just horrific to hear what they've been saying about what they went through.
Yes, notice how quickly they're going to drop down the Uno reverse card and be like, "Oh, disregard what that one person said." Like, hey, we're kind of worried that those artillery shells or tactical airstrikes or tank rounds might actually hit us. You know, it's you guys that are causing a lot of the damage. It's the world's most one-sided fist fight in Gaza right now. The whole entire area has been leveled. Absolute destruction. Hey, but don't share it with John Fetterman. You know, he wants priests to prosper. He meant to say peace to prosper, but, you know, he said priests to prosper. You know, so whatever. Don't tell it to any politician. Don't tell it to Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or anybody else, because they have the power to say, hey, these bombings should stop. We should have peace talks, a full-on ceasefire, but that's not happening. That's not happening at all.
The other aspect of this today, the what's going to happen next has been the underlining this conversation. We heard from the prime minister saying, you know, the IDF, he believes, would maintain security control over Gaza after they defeat Hamas, long after. But there's been warnings from the White House. They don't want that to happen. They believe it should be another independent body. I mean, what do Israeli officials make of that?
Well, first of all, what he was talking about was keeping some sort of a security over.
What that means is occupying Gaza or removing Palestinians from their homes permanently. You know, right now, as the conflict still continues on, many of these refugees have nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. The artillery shells are being fired, and there's nowhere to hide. Airstrikes are still continuing on. Nowhere to hide. There's nowhere for them to go. Absolute destruction is taking place. And, you know, we're only laying down the foundations for the next war. I've said that before. But I guess when Representative Thomas Massie says, hey, maybe we should stop funding these wars, or either that, maybe when people are saying we should, raise a few hands and say, are we allowed to continue on and be blind and deaf and silent as civilians are dying? And now there's this legislation that has been passed in which Congress has intertwined Zionism and anti-Semitism together. So if you're going to be critical of Israel and the apartheid government there, guess that makes you what? Anti-Semitic? How? When there's so many different groups calling for peace. I fear that we are, if not already entering into, but halfway into a grim, dark future where there's nothing but silence and censorship. Speak out. Use your voice. And no, these wars need to stop. I'm glad that we have some elected officials who have the courage to vote no. Well, do I think it'll go anywhere? Probably not. We can't rely on any politician from Washington, D.C. to do the right thing because they never have your best interests at heart. Maybe there might be a handful of people there that actually do care. They're the rare unicorn. That's if they do exist. And it's debatable which ones are the good ones and which ones, really actually care about the continuation of our nation and ensuring that we are safe. Keep your heads on a swivel, folks. It's going to get crazier. And the madness still continues on.